Yo, it's been a minute since I've done one of these, so I'm a little nervous. Forgive me if I'm a little, jittery, and the edits are probably not as crisp. I got to get back in my editing bag and all that. But I missed y'all, and I hope y'all miss me too. But we can get all emotional at the end of the video. I'm here to talk about Daredevil, bro. Like, I feel like I wasn't even on board all the way. I'm gonna say this right now. There's gonna be not too many spoilers. I haven't even finished that. I think the last episode aired the day that I'm recording this. But I haven't watched it myself though. But I honestly want to put all that to the side. I'm gonna have like an actual like Daredevil like video for real once the finale drops, which I just said that it did. I don't know what episode it was. The Punisher cameo, bro. That meant everything to me. Like, I honestly think there's a lot of times, especially in this day and age of Marvel, where we throwing in cameos left and right. I'm gonna say this right here. If you haven't watched Brave New World, like, I guess, spoiler alert. Basically, Bucky is in Cap Brave New World, and I feel like that scene was forced as hell. Not only, for clicks, but also when you look at the script and like what Bucky is really there to do. I'm like, fam, this did not need to happen at all. Like, not to mention, like, I really understand why Bucky is a congressman. That shit makes no sense. But I digress. We'll put that to the side because I'm gonna get back to that because I do think I owe y'all like a Captain America Brave New World video. And also with the Thunderbolts around the corner, yo, we about to go stupid. I'm telling you, I'm back on this shit for real. But yeah, like I feel like cameos can be really forced. But John Bernthal, the dude that plays Punisher, like his appearance in that one segment of Daredevil, it's just like it speaks to your soul, bro. Like, and honestly, a lot of times, with superheroes, I feel like you can kind of tell that it's a superhero talking because they all kind of have that, like, they reek of like self-righteousness almost. And that's honestly my number one issue with Batman. But even Spider-Man, who I don't think is like necessarily self-righteous, but he's just like moves in a way that I'm like, I don't really believe that you're a real person. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like everybody kind of operates under Uncle Ben's, golden rule of great power, great responsibility, right? But the extent to which Peter, does it, I'm like, you're not a real person. Because he never slips up. And I'm sure you can find, like, listen, comics have been going on for, since the dawn of time. You know what I mean? So I know there's a comic book where Spidey just gives up. The same way Reed Richards, like the maker or whatever, is a time where Reed just gives up being a superhero. But for the most part, like, I feel like a lot of times superheroes don't feel like real people because, like, they almost never break their core principles. And I don't think that that's, like, a real thing. I feel like a lot of people have bad days. And I feel like that most definitely translates in a lot of like the scripts written for superheroes. But I think even in the original Netflix series, which honestly I think that deserves a separate video in and of itself, because like what Netflix, at least in 2016, or was it 2016? I want to say like 2014 to 2016, like what it was able to like capture, it was literally like lightning in a bottle. I feel like that Jessica Jones, Luke Cage, Daredevil, Punisher. We don't talk about the other one. But those 4 shows, what they were, like, I feel like it was so special. It was like, and take this in, bro, like, it was in the middle of, like, the MCU's prime. We still got, like, these 4 shows that were, like, actually decent. More than just decent. Like, I do think, like, listen, this might be a crazy take, but I was thinking about this. I think when it comes to superhero live-action TV shows, Daredevil might be the greatest one. Not the best one necessarily, but I think like in terms of legacy and what it's gonna leave behind. Granted, it's not beating much. Like we got the dumpster fire that is the CW show. The CW shows plural, like the S on my chest. The bars out there, fuck with me. Yeah, like I think Daredevil might be like the greatest in terms of legacy, like superhero show. And I think that's special. I really do think that in terms of like superhero television, that the 2010s were a special time, and I think I definitely gonna have a video about that specifically, like the CW shows, the Marvel Agents of Shield, and the Netflix shows. Like that was a special time that you got to interact with superheroes, live action that wasn't the MCU. and it was actually pretty good. You know what I mean? That was special. But I think what John Bernthal brings to the Punisher, I'm being so for real. Like, I don't think it's talked about enough. I think he does a really good job making you believe that this is actually a war veteran who's gone through so much. And the thing about, you know, his specific type of characters, right? Characters that are written like the Punisher, like the lone wolf, brooding, you know, overly masculine type, is like a lot of times they're written as like emotionless. But everybody kind of implicitly knows it's because, like, you know, they've been beaten down by life so much that like they just choose to be stoic. But I think John Bernthal's portrayal of the Punisher, like, it kind of just teeters that line so perfectly. It's just like, yes, he's kind of like this emotionless guy, but you can tell that, like, you can almost feel the pain behind the emotions that he suppresses. You see what I'm saying? And I feel like, especially when he has like the conversations with Daredevil on the roof, I think of Daredevil season 2, when he's talking about why he takes lives, and like Daredevil's trying to tell him that he's got no right. Like the arguments of schools of thought, like it I don't know, I feel like it's just so believable. It really does feel like two actual real people discussing these things and not like superheroes. You know what I'm saying? Like hey, respect, yo, credit where credit is due. Like that scene in Injustice where I think Superman is talking to the Flash about becoming like an authoritarian state, and like it's kind of the same thing, but there's just an aspect of it that's just more raw. I don't know, bro. Like I really think John Bernthal is one of the ones when it comes to actors in the superhero, you know, realm, if that makes sense. I think his performance is always top notch, and he really just like, I don't know, he just does it in a way that's like believable. Like, you really see this man go through it, and I really want y'all to, like, if y'all haven't watched it, watch Daredevil up until I think the end of season 2, and then go watch Punisher, because John Bernthal is one of the ones, and I think that's honestly like, that's just what I want this video to be about. Like, there's been a couple actors, more than a couple, there's been a few actors that I think contributed a lot to superhero like live action shows, right? And we championed them as such. The Mount Rushmore would probably be RDJ as Iron Man is a big one. Hugh Jackman, you know, hands down is seen as like the Wolverine. Who else could we put in there? I feel like Heath Ledger's Joker for sure is like talked about as like an insane performance. There's a couple of people you could throw in there. Like, it becomes a little more contentious. Like, can you put Josh Brolin as Thanos? Because Thanos is a massive character, but I don't feel like we talk necessarily about the performance that is Thanos, more so about the character. But I think I'm more so talking about actors that you can't really divorce off of what they've contributed, off of the role that they play. You know what I mean? Like, RDJ is Iron Man. Hugh Jackman is Wolverine. Heath Ledger is Joker on the live action side. And you got like, you know, even, and listen, hey, I'm gonna sneak this one in because one of these things is not like the other. But Tom Hardy's Bane, Romanian accent Bane, I don't give a fuck. I don't even know how they came up with that interpretation, but that shit was fire. I swear to God, bro. But like, those guys are, I think, S tier in terms of like, you know, portrayal. And I think that's obviously, when we talk about greatness, it's not necessarily about like best. It's about like, you know, how good was your performance, but also on what stage did you do it on? Because Heath Ledger's Joker obviously is phenomenal, but it's also, you know, propped up by the fact that The Dark Knight is championed as one of the greatest, you know, if not the greatest superhero film there is. You know what I'm saying? So that also puts it, you know, up a couple notches. There's a bunch of good performances. Like, I say this all the time. Jonathan Majors as Kang in Ant-Man 3 was a, like, bro, DiCaprio. It was DiCaprio-esque performance right there. But Ant-Man 3 is Ant-Man 3. So we're not even gonna, like, you know, we're not even gonna mention it in the same breath as the other guys. And so I think, like, when you get to be that, portray a character that well on a movie that also is received so well, I think that puts you in like the S tier or the God tier or whatever you want to call it. I think below that is where I would put John Bernthal's, you know, Punisher. Like, I really think that, like, in terms of ability, in terms of portrayal, like, even his voice, because, like, if you even watch him on Hot Ones or, like, in interviews, he obviously sounds the same, but, like, his voice has, like, a raspiness to it, like, a rawness to it, bro. Like, it's a whole performance, bro. And I think that, like, if Punisher was received as well as these other works, like the Iron Man ones, the Logans, and you know the Dark Knights, I would definitely put John Bernthal's performance in that S tier, because it is that good. I swear it is. But because it's not, I think I'm gonna settle for, you know, the tier underneath, like the A tier or whatever. But I really think, like, yeah, no, like, hats off to them guys, bro, because I really think that, like, you know, as superhero fans, we get disrespected. Granted, I'm not a movie connoisseur, but, like, a lot of the people that are always say how, like, comic book movies are not real movies. I do think that, like, you know, the industry is riddled with, you know, some rather dubious actors. But we do have some, we've got some ones, bro. We do. And I think John Bernthal is one of them. Charlie Cox, I think, plays, I think that's the actor's name, who plays Punisher. He plays Daredevil. He also does a really good job. And honestly, he might deserve his own video, or I might just touch on it when I talk about the whole show. I do think Charlie Cox also phenomenal performance, but, like, I don't know, bro. John Bernthal, bro, I don't know. Something about the end of that episode or the middle of that episode that was just like, yeah, no, he just feels so real. Like, you could really feel, like, pain, bro. And he's talking about how, like, he can feel, like, he can hear his kid talk to him. I said, God damn, bro. Nah, for real. Like, the Punisher, like, John Bernthal was made for that dude, bro. I don't know what it is. I really hope his life was, like looks nothing like that. But John Bernthal knows what the fuck he's doing when it comes to that Punisher, bro. But that's all I had to say. Appreciate y'all for being out here. I know I haven't posted in a while, and I always say that, you know, I'm about to get back into it. But this time I am. That's all I'm gonna say, and I'm gonna let my actions, you know, speak for the rest of it. I'm also doing this podcast thing with my boy Q, and, you know, we just added, you know, another man's Jihad. I'm gonna link those in the description and stuff. Hopefully y'all could catch a couple episodes. I think 2 of them are already out. We working in the back, you know what I'm saying, to get y'all some more content and stuff. I'm gonna put everything you need in the description. I'm gonna be back to talk about solo leveling, talk about Sakamoto Days, talk about some other shit, and I'll definitely be back for Thunderbolts, because that's probably, like, my most anticipated movie this year. So I'm gonna be back for that, and you already know summer hits. We talking about my man Soup, and we talking about the motherfucking Fantastic Four. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, appreciate y'all. Later.